screen, you can see already I have two different widgets. I have the normal Elementor widget button and the Atomic Elementor widget button. So let's start afresh. Let's start afresh by styling this in differently. So I will take this out, and take this out as well. So I will bring in our regular normal Elementor button widget by scrolling down, or I can still type it here. So this is the regular button. You can see the Atomic one, we have this atomic icon on it. So this is the regular one. So let's drag it in. So we want to style this button. So let's style it. Firstly, background color. Let's say we want to use gradient. So the first color should be 8B2C FF. So the degree will give it 135, and the second color should be C64 DFF. So that's it. I think that's the color we are going to use, the kind of purple color. So the next thing is to style the button. So the reason of this video is just to show you the difference between the regular button and the atomic button. So you want to style this button. So the next thing we need to do is just very simple thing. So the first thing, let's break the link out, and the padding will be 1535. That is 15 top, 15 bottom, 35 right, 35 left, 35, 15, 35. Yeah. So we need border radius. Let's just leave it at 50. And I think that's also for here. The content, let's change the content to, let's say, regular BTN. So I believe all of us understand what BTN is. Just a normal short form for button. So we now want to bring in atomic element button. So this is atomic element button. So we bring it in here. So we call this atomic BTN. So this is atomic BTN. So now we want to style the atomic BTN. So in the atomic BTN, we want to create a class. Let's call it BTN style. So okay, we already have the class here, so you can create the class here. So since I already have it here, let me just click it. So why we have this button style this way is that I already styled this this component, this particular variable. I've already styled this class. So let's go through it very quickly. So now we have almost the same thing. Padding, we have 15 top, 35 right, 15 bottom, 35 left. So the next thing we have was just normal regular stuff, font weight, which is just 16, semi-bold, which is 600, and we have text color of white. We have a background color, so we don't use this very particular background color. So I will show you what I did there. So if you see my screen, I added the linear gradient using the class name, as you can see. So that is why we're having that color there. So I didn't want to take you through the process of seeing all those stuff, but here is it. So the next thing we did was border. You can see this is like just using normal CSS to do what you are doing. So this is the border radius of 50, which we added. So the next thing, let's just add the font weight to this one. So the font weight here is 600. So just add 600. So now, what is the major difference between these two? As we said, you cannot duplicate the two buttons and have the same answer. Now let me show you one important thing about what makes atomic elements so unique that every developer, either you are a beginner or you are a professional, you need to use it. So now going back to my browser, Let me refresh so that I can have what I just did. Sorry. So coming back to my browser now, I want to inspect these two buttons so that you see the level of elements each of them are made up of. So now this is the normal widget button, normal Elementor button. So if I inspect it, you now see the level of elements we have. So starting from here, you can see we have these elements. We have class div element here. We now have an anchor, which is the a tag. We now have a span inside. Inside the span, we still have another span before we can now even access this regular button, this content of this button. But it's not like that with the atomic button. So if you inspect the atomic button, inside the atomic button, you can see straightforward. You land on the button, and within the button, you have everything. So this is the beauty. So SEO wise and site speed wise, this give you that optimization of that site. It makes everything so simple and run smoothly. So now we want to see how controlling all this button works on different space. So now let's say we have this button in 3 different places, which I will duplicate into 3. You have this one in 3. And now the clients of this site say, oh, I don't like the color of this site, or I want one of these button. Like, okay, let's just leave the button, the size first. Or I don't like this color. I want everything to be green. I want everything to be green. It's very simple that we need to just come here. So when we get here, let's say we want everything to be green. We just change back to our normal classic color, then change this thing to green. We change it to green. We change it to green. So when we change it to green, now you notice that the rest of the button are still on the pink color. It has not changed to green. So now for us to have green all through, we need to copy this one and paste that all through, which is now, so you need to copy it and paste all through for you to be able. So now imagine you have like maybe first 15 page website and you have button all through. Maybe each of the page you have like first 5 to 6 button in each of them. So imagine you are building a kind of company website which require a lot of button because of how you need to navigate through some certain page to a different page. So that simply means you need to go through all those pages to configure the colors of that button. But let's see how it is being done in Atomic button. So this is Atomic button. So what we need to do now, let's say the client, we have, let's say 3 as well. So and the client say, I don't like the color. I don't want this color. So all I want is make this color to be a kind of red. I don't like the blue. Make it red. So the first thing is, we can still use this custom CSS to add the color. But since we are not going to use gradient again, so what I need to do is, let me just take this off. Let me take this off and come back here. So since we are not going to use it that way, we want to change this button to green. We want this button to have straight, or let's say black background. So we don't need to copy and paste any of the color. So what we need to do is just very simple. You can click on one particular button. So since we use this button style, this class name style, a button style, so you can just click on it and automatically will be on that platform where we can change this color. So what we need to do is to go to the background color and change it to black. So changing it on one means you change it on everything. So whatever we do, then mind you that we can still edit individual button. Let's say the client say, okay, make the second button bigger than the rest. So it's very simple. We can just come to the second button, that particular button. You can go to it. So now we need to go to the local. So although you can create a different last name for it, but we can use local since it's just that particular button. So we can go to, since we want it to be bigger, so we can go to the border. No, can go to the spacing, since we just want it big, so we can just come to the right and say right should be 50. So we need to break it out. Right should be 50, or let's say right should be 70, while this remain 15 and this remain 15. And that button is big. Let's just give it something big. I want something a little bit bigger. So let's say 100 right, 100 left. So we can just give the top 20, bottom 20. And this does not stop the centralizing of the styling. A section of this one that is being like now this one has stand out uniquely, but every other thing remains the same. So we can still change the color. We can say, okay, we don't need this one to have the same black color. We can still do that, still on the local. So we can come to the background and say, okay, we don't need this. Let's say we want to give it blue, so we can change it. But on top of that, we can still control it. So mind you, once you control it locally, it is a little bit tricky to add a different color. So if you want to have another color here, and maybe you don't want to touch this one locally, or maybe you have a central color which you can use on a different thing, so you can just pick it up from here. So mind you, anything that stands first, so but you can't move the local to the front, but you can move your classes. You can switch how your classes are, how they react, the positions and everything. You can switch them around. So but you cannot change how it is being like from, you can't change from local to any other position. Local stands here, but you can change other classes, your dynamic classes all around. You can make it move the way you want it to. So let's compare the two buttons side by side. It might interest you to know that the comparison is very simple and very tricky at the same time. Let's compare it. The regular Elementor button is easier for beginners and work great for simple projects. The Atomic button, on the other hand, is built for scalability. It allows you to create reusable components, maintain consistent styling, and make updates more efficiently. If you are building one page website, the regular button is usually enough. But if you are working on large website, client projects, or website with many pages, the Atomic button can significantly improve your workflow. So you may ask, so what are those differences that make the regular button different from the Atomic button? It might interest you to ask. It's a little bit tricky, but there are differences. Now on the regular button, is easy to use. Yes, very easy to use. Individual styling, great for small website. Manual updates, very important. Manual updates. You can see what we did, that for us to change anything on the normal regular button, we need to like copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, which is a little bit stressed. So using Atomic. So let's talk about the comparison of why Atomic is the new game in Elementor. One, reusable components. It gives you that ability, that stretch ability to like flexibility of using your components the way you want it. You can even grade this button style and use it in another style, in another component, not just button, because it's just like you writing your regular CSS and later on you want to use that CSS style to style something else, and it worked very well. So that is why Atomic button, reusable components, consistent design. As you can see, I have to like retract to use this to expand the number 2 button, not because I could not do it using the normal style CSS, but I wanted to show you that, oh, you can still you can still locally work on it to have different things from what others are having. That is one thing. Reusable components, consistent design, details for large website. Like, it's very detailed and ideal for large website. It's detailed. It gives you that opportunity to detail what you want to do in your CSS, and it's ideal for large website. Faster updates. As you can see, no matter how many pages you have, maybe 15, 20, 20 something pages of website. For most of us that work with e-commerce website, we know what that means. So you know that on an e-commerce website or a company profile website, you may have a lot of pages ranging from the home page, about us, contact us, services, project, profile, all those stuff. So now imagine having buttons that link to different pages and you want to give them the same style, the same sizing, the same things. So it's very fast to update those buttons in terms of clients otherwise suggestions. So you may ask, which one should I use in my next project? If you are a beginner or building a small website, the regular button is still a solid choice. Trust me, it's still a very solid choice. So imagine you are building a one-page website. It's very okay to use that because at least everything is in one place. You can copy paste and save your work and go your way, less stress. Then if you are building something like portfolio website, still the same thing. The regular Elementor button widget is very okay and good to go. But if you are trying to build something that is more of, you need that focus of efficiency, consistency, and scalability. Trust me, Atomic button offers you that advantage, and it's worth learning. If you are not, if you have not used it before, it's worth learning. So it gives you that consistent design, efficiency, scalability. As I showed you on my inspect screen, as I showed you earlier, if you have been one of the persons that used to check for page speed, you should understand that what the level of Elementor that we have now with the atomic element is very crazy because it gives you that speed, that scalability, that container that doesn't add up more container. As you can see on my screen, it doesn't add up more containers. It sticks to what is important. Now, this is the Elementor button. Now, this is where the button starts. This is where it starts. Now, count how many containers are here. This is the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Before, this is where the button itself is. But all these are the components of the button. But now, this is the atomic button. Just straight button. Nothing much. Straight button. You don't go through all those stress of this button, that button, this button, that button. Straight up, you have it. So you see the advantage of using and why I say it's worth learning. So as Elementor continue to develop atomic elements, those components will likely become an important part of modern Elementor workflow. So either you learn it now, either you understand it now, or you will still need to learn it. Because I'm very sure that as they are developing and creating more elements of the atomic, there are more possibility for them to like bring down the regular elements or widgets. There is more possibility for them to do that. Thank you for watching. If you find this video helpful, give it a like, subscribe for more Elementor and WordPress tutorials, and let me know in the comment section whether you are using the regular button or the new atomic button. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.